Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is part two, a few words on the book of Genesis. And pretty much we're going to continue on, Lord's will, from where we left off yesterday. And see, where the Spirit leads us. Before we get started, I just want to make mention, this is my page here, right? GMS Info Doc channel. And if you just go to the home page, it's just going to have videos that are uploaded. You won't see any of the new videos because they got, YouTube always doing some bullshit. So right now, if you want to see the latest videos that go live, you could either go to videos, or that don't even come up. See? Videos that it won't come up. So if you're doing like a live, you got to go to the live section in order to see all of the live videos that have been done. But if you just go to videos, it's gonna give you the ones that are uploaded. It won't give you, or homepage, it won't give you any of the newest, unless you're live like this it shows here. So you have to go to the live in order to be able to see the uploaded live videos that were already done. All right, so with that being said, word on the book of Genesis. This is part two. We're going to start in the book of Genesis 4. We left off Genesis 3. And we're going to start off here. Genesis 4:1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Now, the word Adam goes back to the Hebrew word Adama, which means ground. When you look at the word ground, it's also the same word Adama with a ha at the end, signifying femininity, because certain words with a ha at the end reflect feminine, makes it feminine, but not in every case, because you have some names in the Hebrew that end with a ha, but they're masculine names. But a lot of times when you're dealing with, feminine tense, it usually has a ha at the end, but not in all cases. So the name Adam is Adama, which means ground, because he was made of the ground. The word Eve is Chawa, which really means farm, but they have it here. I believe they have it connected to life, because they say she's the mother of all things, life or living, right? Because it does go back to the word Chaya right here, Chaya. Like Amalek has a saying, L'chayim, which means to life, to live, have life, remain. So her name is Eve Chawa because she was the farm that the Lord used the seed, the husbandman Adam, to plant, in her garden, so you could understand. And she bare Cain. The Lord gave her Cain. The name Cain comes from the Hebrew word koyan, which I think here in the Blue Letter Bible they go off on that. And these are basic names that you should know. Koyan should be familiar with. It doesn't mean possession. This is close. Smiths. A smith is someone that makes weapons and other things, but mostly weapons, because it means like a stabbing weapon. The word Kwayan, it means to stab. Here we go, Kwayan, which goes back to the root word Kwayan, which is a spear, because it's a stabbing weapon. And he was called that. Why? Because he eventually killed his brother Abel. And when he killed his brother Abel, that was the beginning of that enmity between the serpent seed and the woman's seed. The serpent seed being Cain, and the woman's seed being Abel, because Israel is comparable to a comely woman. All right. So I have gotten a man from the Lord. Let me see something real quick. Okay, see, and this is the right word for man, Ayash. Ayash is Hebrew for man. Ayasha with a ha at the end is Hebrew for a woman. So you can get an understanding of feminine tense. All right, it says, and she again bare his brother Abel. Now, when you go to the word Abel, they don't break it down here either. it goes to the word Habal. Habal. I know it should be, you thinking it's going to be Abal, but it's Habal. Habal. Breath, you could kind of say that, but not really. It means transitory. It's transitory because Abel was here for a moment and then gone, which makes both of those names a term that Elder Apostle Gabar uses, omen nomen. And the omen nomen is name prediction. And it makes sense, or it manifested that both their names were, actually took place the way that they were named, because Cain was named stabbing weapon and Abel was named transitory, because Cain took his weapon and stabbed Abel. It doesn't really go into specifics of how he killed him, but it makes sense that that's what he would do, because that is overall the wicked's weapon, is the sword. All right. Now for the word Abel, which means transitory, we go to James 4:13. It says, "Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city and continue there a year, and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas you know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even what? A vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away." Just like Abel, was Habal, which means transitory. All right. Let's look up this word vapor. Now, if you know anything about a vapor, it comes up and then it's gone. It doesn't stick around very long. Atmos, or atmis. Vapor. Mist. See, a mist doesn't last very long. Let's look up the word vapor. Vapor meaning a substance diffused or suspended in the air, especially one normally liquid or solid. A sudden feeling. Okay, so that's pretty much it. All right, so it appears for a moment, then it's gone. And even if someone lives 100 years, that's still a vapor in comparison to eternal life. The scriptures say that 1,000 years is something, I forget, I think it's in the Apocrypha. 1,000 years are as nothing. Let's see. 1,000 years in thy sight, something like that. Right. Sirach 18:10, as a drop of water unto the sea, and a gravel stone in comparison of the sand, so are 1,000 years to the days of eternity. You see? So 1,000 years is really nothing to the Lord into eternity. But that's what was set up. That's why no one was able to pass that. The one that came the closest was Methuselah. He was 969 years old, the oldest man to ever live, and that was it. It says, and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And it makes sense because the Israelites were what? They kept sheep. They were shepherds. But Cain was a tiller of the ground. It says, and in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord, and Abel he also brought of the firstlings of the flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. So obviously they knew better than to offer fruits to the Lord when they had cattle. And that's why the Lord didn't have respect unto Cain. Because how would the Lord be happy with one and upset with the other if they didn't know any better? Because back then the words were oral. The laws were oral. They weren't written down on stone pretty much until the time of Moses, for the Israelites. So everything was done orally. So they knew better, and Cain, just came in that manner because Cain is the wicked. It says, and the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? Right. So if you did the right thing, you would be accepted. You would be, a son of the Most High, a son of the power, because he did come out of Adam, right? It said, and if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And this is pretty much, sin lives with Esau. They're practically related. Inside joke. Sin lives with Esau. They are the wicked. There's a reason why the scriptures say that they are the borders of wickedness. And that is what they are. That is what drives them. Nothing else drives them more than wickedness. When it comes to righteousness, righteousness is like roach repellent to the devil, to Esau. But righteousness is alluring to the Israelites. But the thing is, in this society, we've been seduced by the wicked, and plus, we're subject to vanity. So therefore we can't do the things that we want to do, which is keep the law. We do the things that we don't want to do, which is break the law, because of the flesh that we're in, the sinful flesh. So if thou doest well, sin lieth at the door. And that's exactly what happens. And unto thee shall his desire be, and thou shalt rule over him. Right. In other words, you'll be able to have dominion over Esau, because you Cain are of the devil. Christmas is of the devil. Inside joke. This is 1 Corinthians. I got Corinthians on the brain. Let's try 1 John 3:12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one. See, he was of the wicked one. That's why he didn't do the right thing. That's why he was jealous of his brother, and he rose up and slew him and killed him, and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. Because that was the beginning of the enmity. That was the beginning of the battle against good and evil. You have to understand that the main fight is between Jacob and Esau, which started all the way back, with the serpent, which was an actual man, and Adam. But then it really started really stirring a lot during the time of Cain and Abel. Then after that, the Lord destroyed the world by a flood, and then that whole enmity started all over again with two twins, Jacob and Esau. Jacob came out regular, brown-skinned baby. Esau came out red, like this so-called white man. That's why eventually his name was called Edom. All right? And the word Edom, Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. They are the true red people of the planet. Gad is not red. They paint their face red with war paint and things like that. But the real red people of the earth are the Edomites. All right? And they know this. So it says, unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Because this is what we're waiting for. See, we the Israelites, unlike the Edomites, they don't have that, promise or thing to look forward to. This is why they're striving so hard to try to keep their kingdom afloat, because they know they have but a short time. And this is it. After this, they got nothing else to look forward to but slavery. Romans 16:20, it says, and the power of peace shall what? Bruise Satan under your feet shortly. The grace of our Lord Yahushua be with you. Amen. And pretty much, Satan, like I said here, and unto thee shall be his desire. In other words, you're going to rule over him. So Satan, the spiritual demon Satan, and the physical counterpart are not going to have dominion over us in the kingdom, because the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to bruise him under our feet. They're going to be subjected to us. Let's go real quick to 1 Corinthians chapter 6:1. It says, dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matter? Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life, right? So we're going to be able to tell angels to come and go. because they're going to be subject to us. But in this world and just in general, Esau is subject to Satan. They're at Satan's mercy. That's why it says in Isaiah chapter 26 and 10, it says, let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. So they can't do right, even if you show them the right way. This is why the Lord said, I don't know why you picking up my words. You don't like instructions. You might as well put the book down, because all they use the book for is what? The power of the book for their own benefit. But then once the word doesn't benefit them, then they don't need it anymore. They cast it to the side and they pull out their own penal code. Psalms 58 and 2. Start at 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. See? So before they're even born, they're wicked. And they're estranged from what? From righteousness. That's why his desire will be to Satan and not the other way around. He won't have Satan in subjection. Satan will have him in subjection. Doing what, Satan is making Esau walk his walk, which is the Lord Yahweh's walk. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. And that's all they do. Like right now, I just saw a video that I believe it was the priest Zakar sent me. And pretty much they got these Russian icons. And Esau talking about that the reason why they're dark is because over the centuries they gotten dirty or something along that line. I mean, these devils just can't stop lying. They're clearly black. It's not like dirt. You know the difference between something that's dirty and something that's, that's dark skin, brown, dark brown. But that's what the devil does. You shouldn't be surprised that the devil does these things. It says their poison is like the poison of a serpent. Yeah, because eventually it incapacitates you spiritually from growing. It says they are like the deaf adder that stoppeth their ear, because no matter how eloquent you are, no matter how charismatic you are, no matter how good you are at breaking the scriptures down, they're not going to listen. A good example is that big fat head snake vocab. No matter how many times he gets spanked in the scriptures, he still comes with the same tired bullshit plantation / Renaissance Christianity / white supremacy Christianity garbage. And he's going to keep coming with it because he is a deaf adder. He is not built to receive the truth because he is the wicked, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers. The charmers are the prophets and they don't listen. Charming never so wisely, right? Because if you listen to the prophet, you sit there and you like, damn, these brothers are making sense. They're breaking it down. Everything is clear. Why can't this big fat head snake see it? Well, because he's just that, a big fat head snake. And he's not going to get it. He's a big fat head snake with a hat that's too tight for his head. All right. So going back, and that was the main point. You can read the rest of it. It just says that he slew him, and it goes into a whole bunch of different other things. But you know what? What we will do in here is we're going to go to one of his descendants, one of Esau's descendants. Let's see if I can find him. Let's see. Lamech. Tubal-Cain. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, right? And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Now, when you look up the word Tubal-Cain, it's a compound word, a compound name. It's Thawabal Kwayan. Now, we know that Kwayan is what? Stabbing weapon. Thawabal is a traveler. That will be brought of Cain. Nope. It's a traveler. See, let's see. Increase, Kwayan, bring, carry forth. Right. So The word thawabal goes back to the word yabal, which means to bring, lead, carry, conduct, bear along. So in other words, to travel. So traveling weapon, which is what? That would be a mercenary, a hired weapon. So that's their nature. That's Esau's nature, because when they came back, what did they receive as a blessing? As a Edomite, or as Esau, they received the blessing of the sword from Isaac. And they've been using that sword. There's lessons on that. All right, so now that we dealt with that, let's go to the fifth chapter, and let's deal with the fifth chapter and the first verse. But before I get there, let me get this other precept. All right, now this chapter here is pretty much a chapter dedicated to the descendants of the sons of God. All right, this is the original line, for lack of better words, or genealogy of the Israelites before they were called Israelites. This is the line of the sons of God. These men here were the men that got with the women in the next chapter. So when we start at the first verse, it says, this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that the powers created man, in the likeness of the powers made he him. So when we look up this word generations, right, in the case of this here, we know that it's dealing with genealogy, because it gives you a lineage of men beginning with Adam. All right, and we're going to deal with the other part of it. It's the same word that appears in Genesis 2, right? But here is Thawala Dawath, which right here, Yalad, which means to beget, to bear children. All right, so it says descendants, results, proceedings, generations, genealogies, account of men and their descendants, a genealogical list of one's descendants, one's contemporaries. Now, when we go to Genesis 2 and 4, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created. This is not dealing with genealogy, because I'm not sure if it was an Ansar Allah community Muslims that tried to use this to say that this was the genealogy of the angels and all this other madness and some bugged out shit, because back then, I'm not sure if it was Thursday nights. The apostles used to tell us that they taught down there that one of their mosques, they would actually have Michael the archangel come down and teach class that particular day, and you had people that fell for that shit. All right, so this right here, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth. When you look at the Hebrew word Thawala Dawath, is the same word used in Genesis, the 5th chapter, dealing with genealogy. But in the case of Genesis 2 and 4, the word generations there is course of history, of creation, etc. See, so this is where, being able to discern the context of the scripture, that's where it comes into play. Because it could be genealogy, but it could also be a record of something. All right? So now that that's taken care of, let's go back. So this is the book of the genealogy of the sons of Adam, or the sons of God. It says, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created, because there were many people created in the beginning. Now, when we go to Adam being the first man created, meaning that he was the first man that was put in order. He was the first man that was given the breath of life from the Lord and set him in order. This is why he was given the task of naming everything, the animals and all of that, because he was the first man that was put in proper order. Because man back then, they were all pretty much on the same level as a beast, until the Lord gave the understanding and separated them from the beast. All right, because beasts pretty much act on instinct, Now, when we go to the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter, all right, and I believe, just bear with me one second. All right. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 20. It says, And the power said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. Now this part here is dealing with the creeping things of the ground. All right. When you look up this word moving creatures in this particular verse there, it's sharatazah, which means teeming or swarming things, creepers, swarmers of insects, animals, small reptiles, quadrupeds, which means 4 feet. All right. So everything was brought forth at that time, all the creeping things that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And the powers created great whales. Now, this is not talking about your actual whale, orca the whale. This is talking about something more than orca the whale. When you go to the Hebrew word on it, great is gadawal, which is the word great. And the word for whales is thanayan, which are sea monsters. It's not just necessarily fish, because there's another part that speaks about fish being created. This is talking about sea monsters like Leviathan. Thanayan, dragon, serpent, sea monster. Okay, dragon or dinosaur. So the dinosaurs, really Leviathan, was created. All right, many Leviathans. When you go to the book of, I'm not sure if that's Job 40 or Job 41, where it speaks about Leviathan. I think it might be the 41st chapter. Yep. Job 41 and 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Yeah, because there's another part in the scriptures, I'm not sure if that's in the book of Psalms, where the Lord set up Leviathan and protects him from being devoured. Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? No, the answer to that is no. Why? Because he's like he's a sea monster, and you can't capture him. They've said that they've seen, sightings of the Loch Ness monster and all this and that and the other, which could be possible. They've seen sightings of the Yeti, which is what is that called? Not the abominable snowman, some other name that they call him. But there are creatures newly created. There are creatures that are created by the Lord, protected by the Lord, which when the time comes, they will be revealed, when the Lord sees fit. It says, will he make many supplications? So, you can read this whole chapter here. This goes into Leviathan. This is the sea monster that we're reading about in the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter and the 21st verse. And the powers created great whales, or great sea monsters, and every living creature that moveth. See, and this part here, in every living creature that moveth, this is dealing with man also. When we go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 17, it says, Therefore, if any man be in Yahushua, dealing with an Israelite man, he is what? A new creature. Because people look at the word creature. Matter of fact, let's see what we can get when we look up the word creature. Creature definition. See, it says an animal as distinct from a human being. No. An animal or person. Yes, this definition is correct. An animal or person. Why? Because the word creature, when you go to the root of the word creature, is what? The word create. All right, let's go here. Let's go to the word creature. Created, bara'ah. Creature is napash. Well, this one they have the word napash, which means soul, which is the living. But the word creature goes back to the word create or created, which is the word bara'ah. Okay, bara'ah, which is to create, shape, form. All right, that's what it goes back to. So the powers created great whales and every living creature that moveth. So everything that you see was created. Ramash, moveth. To creep, move lightly, move about, walk on all fours, creep, lightly, glide about, order to move about. It's also dealing with man, because to prove that it's dealing with man, let's go from there to the book of, we already read in 2 Corinthians about man being a new creature. Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 6. And let's go to, I believe this is the chapter. Yep. So upon the 5th day, which is what? The 5,000th year of the creation, thou settest unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures. See? Man, isn't man living? Isn't man a creature? Yes, man is a creature. Man was created. Fowls and fishes, and so it came to pass. This was the very first, this is the 20th verse of the first chapter. All right, you had the creeping things, the fish, the fowl, which are the birds. Then in the next verse, 21st verse, which is the 48th verse here, for the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of the Most High, that all people might praise thy wondrous work. Now here we go. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures. See? Then now we read about the sea monsters. The one thou callest Enoch. Now the word Enoch comes from the Hebrew word chanawak, which means learnt man, or learnt, because when the Lord created, everything in the beginning, everything was pretty much on the same level until the Lord actually set man, above everything. He gave them dominion over the animals, so he set them above everything, but they were still on the same level until the Lord took the first man, which was Adam. He took him and actually made him intelligent, just so you could understand. He gave him, he breathed into him the breath of life, and this is why Adam was the first man created as far as being put into his proper order. So Ecclesiastes 17:1, it says, the Lord created man of the earth and turned him into it again. He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein. He endued them with strength by themselves, and made them according to his image, and put the fear of man upon all flesh. That's why he gave dominion over all the beasts of the field, and gave them dominion over the beasts and fowls. They received the use of 5 operations of the earth, right, which is sight, smell, taste, touch, and hear. And in the 6th place, he imparted to them understanding, which is what? The mind. It says, and in the 7th, speech, right? And then the 7th is to be able to speak, not just taste, but speak, an interpreter of the cogitations there. So when the Lord did was he gave man the ability to think, gave him understanding, and then also the ability to speak those thoughts, to convey them to someone else so you could understand. All right. Counsel in the tongue and eyes and ears and the heart gave he them to understand. Withal he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil, because this was the mission. We had to learn both sides. This high priest Jacob used to always speak about this. That was like one of his top topics. He spoke about many things, but that was one of his top topics that he would go into, was that the Lord taught us good and evil. He set his eyes upon their hearts, that he might show them the greatness of his works. And you get the rest. You can read the rest when you get a chance. Oh, and the elect shall praise his holy name. So going back, it says, then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures, the one thou callest Enoch, which is man, learnt man, and the other Leviathan, which was the sea monster that we read here in the book of Genesis 1:21. And the powers created great whales, sea monsters, and every living creature that moveth, that was including man, which the waters brought forth abundantly and after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And the power saw that it was good. And why did the power see that it was good? Because it was according to the plans of the Most High Yahweh, who gave the blueprint to Yahweh Shai. So that's the main thing to take from here, from Genesis 5 is that there were many Adams. It wasn't just one man. There were many people created in the beginning. The Adamites were separated as the sons of God. You know, the line from Adam all the way down through Seth, all the way down to the rest of the men that were known as the children or the sons of God. All right. And out of this line, you had Enoch that came. You also had Lamech. You also had Methuselah. And then Lamech begat Noah. You know, and Noah begat his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And that line of the sons of God that went down, you know, through this line, through this lineage, you know, rested upon Shem. And then from Shem, it went to Arphaxad. You know, and then you go to the Genesis, the 11th chapter, it gives you the rest of the line from Arphaxad all the way down to Abraham. And then from Abraham, it passed to Isaac, and from Isaac, it passed to Jacob, and it rested on Jacob. You know, that was that chosen line, or the line of the sons of God. All right. Now, when we go to Genesis, the 6th chapter, there's a couple of points to make here. It says, and it came to pass when man began to multiply on the face of the earth. Now, what men were these? Because you have to understand that there were 3 classifications of men, and you have to be able to know how to break it down. You had the sons of God, you had the sons of men, and you had the sons of the wicked. Now, the sons of God were the chosen line of Adam at that time, which later came back as the Israelites. Then you had the sons of men, which were the sons of the other nations. Then you had the sons of the wicked, which were the sons of Cain at the time, but they came back later as the Edomites. Those are the 3 classification of men. So this classification of men here were the sons of men, or the other nations, right? And daughters were born unto them, so they had women. It must have been some fine ass women, you know. I mean, must have been some baddies, you know. That the sons of the Most High, which were the Adamites, the sons of the Most High, the sons of God, were the ones that came out of the line of Adam, not no angelic falling beings, you know. That's total madness, because this is giving us a genealogy of Adam. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his likeness after his image, and called his name Seth. All right. Then Seth got Enos, and then Enos begat Canaan, and then Cainan begat Mahalaleel, and Mahalaleel begat Jared, and Jared begat Enoch. And Enoch begot Methuselah, and Methuselah begot Lamech, and Lamech begot Noah, so on and so forth. So these are the sons of God that we read in the very next chapter, Genesis 6. So the sons of men were the other nations, and the sons of God were the Adamites, the descendants of Adam that came down that line. So that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So there's no such thing as no demigod. This is where the whole mythology comes into play, you know, on these fables, you know, about the Titans and about, you know, the fallen angels, and they call them Nephilims because the scriptures call them Nephilim. But when you understand the terminology of the word Nephilim, then you understand what it means in context. Not that they were kicked out of heaven. All of a sudden they came hurling down from heaven. The Most High kicked them in the ass, and he came hurling down from heaven, landed on the island of Lesbos. You know, from there it started spreading out. And then you had Prometheus that stole fire from the gods, and he gave it to man. And man, just a whole bunch of madness and confusion. This is why the Apostle Peter said that when he made known Yahushua to the people, to those Israelite foreigners, he didn't bring them the fables that come accompanied with it, because he understood about those fables, the Apostle Peter, because they were very prevalent back then. And you had a lot of Israelites back then that were in that Greek state of mind, that were following those, fables. That's why the Apostle Paul spoke about fables. That's why the Apostle Peter spoke about them, because the Israelite foreigners were steeped hard in that. Not only were they steeped in the customs and religions and way of life of the Greeks and the Romans, but they were also steeped heavy in their mythologies. When you do the research on that, you had the pantheon, which was Zeus and all the other gods, and because they try to mimic what the scriptures say, because the Most High does have a council in the heavens, but He is the power. He's the one that controls everything. But He does have councils in the heaven, and it's not the way that Esau paints it. So it says, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So it went from living 900 plus years, actually living longer than that, but then being cut down to like 900 and something, all the way down to 120 years. Now today, when we deal with this, the life expectancy now is a lot less. The angel told Ezra, how much weaker shall the earth be, with age, because at that time, which was about a good 2,500 years ago, when Ezra was on the scene, the world was super wicked. So now how much more now in the future? So Psalms chapter 90 and 10, it says, the days of our years are 60 years. A score is 20. So 60 would be 60. And 10. So 60, which is 60, plus 10 is what? 70. It says, so that's the amount of years that we've been given to live on the earth. And if by reason of strength they be 80. So if a score is 20, how much is 80 to the newer brothers? You can put that up on the comment section. Yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. So even this amount of time given, for men to live, to some people, then he lived a long life, long full life, but that's really nothing in comparison to eternity. 100 years is nothing in comparison to eternity. The scriptures say that 1,000 years is nothing in comparison to eternity. So how much more this a little bit of time, and it goes by quick. Yep, brother Ben Malak, 80 years. That's right, correct. It goes by quick. When you're young, you don't really think about it, but then you get middle age, you start thinking about it more. Then you get older, and then then by the time you start getting ready for the grave, then you say, damn, this life went by quick. But thank the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai that He's going to give us that extension, that spiritual extension of life, when the kingdom of heaven is established. And that's what we're waiting for. That's why 2023 being the hopeful year that all the prophecies, are fulfilled. We're hoping that it happens that way so that the Lord can deliver us this year, if it be His will. Because, man, shit is hairy. All right, so going back. Now, this is the main controversial verse here, is verse 4. It says, there were giants in the earth in those days. Now, this wasn't giants as far as being super tall, even though man back then was bigger than what you see today. It also says that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the same thing that the angel was telling them, how much wicked will the earth be now. I believe even in that same chapter, it spoke about, how man is much less in stature now. That was 2,400 years ago than from the beginning. So how much more now? We used to go to the, I believe that was the Cloisters Museum in New York. And pretty much when you go there, there's a section of the knights. And they had I believe it's called a chest of drawer. and you put your clothes in your undergarments and your different socks and all of that, and the dresser was all the way up to pretty much to your face or even above it. The doors were huge because men were bigger even back in the medieval times. So how much more back then? But this particular word here for giants is not reflecting giants as far as size. It's reflecting something else. Because when you look up the word giants, it goes to the word ha-Nephilim. Ha is the, Nephilim is where you get the word Nephilim, which translate Nephilim, Nephal is to fall. The Yum makes it plural. So they were fallen ones. Why? Because they fell from that great stature. That they were not as far as height, but as far as renown, as far as fame is concerned. Like, to give you an example, like we, as the Israelites, we were giants at one time, to the nations. They lauded us, they praised us for the great knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we had. But then we fell from that state. We fell from that from that reputation. And now we're looked at as bums. Like you have giants in the sports world, in the movie business, so on and so forth. They were giants because of their reputation, the things that they achieved. They were lauded damn near as gods. But then something happens and they lose favor and their reputation is tarnished and they fall from that stature. Like at one time, O.J. Simpson was the darling of America. Esau loved that I was about to call him a devil. Esau loved that guy. But then what happened? He was accused of taking out an Edomite woman, well, she probably was a Jake, and that looked like an Edomite. And all of a sudden, he became the worst thing since Hitler. Same thing with other celebrities. They had a great reputation. They were damn near in the status of gods, and they did something to where it tarnished their reputation. That's what this is talking about, falling from that reputable state. All right. And the way we know that also is we take the root word here, which is Nepal or Napayal, excuse me, and we go to the book of Psalms, the 82nd chapter, and the 6th verse. This is Yahushua quoted this to them, wicked Pharisees and them. It says, I have said you are gods, right? Nor a small case, because gods, which goes back to the Hebrew word Allah, right? This one is Alahayim, same thing that we read in the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter, the 1st verse. Allah is God, and the Yum makes it plural. That's why when you look up the word Alahayim and you look at the definition, here it says what? Plural. Rulers, judges. And that's who we are. The rulers and the judges. You have divine ones, which could be the prophets, or which could be, it could be also angels, gods. So this is, men that are in rulership positions. And we were supposed to stand out above all the other nations and teach the other nations, or have them follow the way, mimic the ways of us, not the other way around. But back then all they really learned was how to be servants. They didn't eat pork because if they got caught eating any of that, they get dealt with. But when the kingdom is established, we're going to teach them our ways. They're going to learn our ways. And this is another way we know that those little hats are not the people of the Lord, because ain't nobody trying to go learn their ways. Okay, so going back, it says, I have said you are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. These are the sons of God, the Israelites. But you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. And that's what happened. We fell from that great stature. When we look up this word fall here, it goes to the word Nepal, which is the root word of the word giants here, ha-Nepalium. And when we look up that word Nepal, it says to fall, lie, be cast down. And that's exactly what happened. We were cast down from our state, from that great state, that great reputation that we had. And that's simply what it means. All right. Then it says, there were giants in the earth in those days, which were the fallen ones, the sons of God that fell from their great reputation, you know, once they mixed with the daughters of men. And also after that, when the sons of the Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. See, these are the children of the sons of God. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So, see, this is where you'll get confused, because you're like, well, that's mighty. That's the Titans, man. That's the Titans, man. The demigods, which are half man and half gods. No, because they were the sons of the Most High, the Adamites. So they had that same spirit. Even though their mother was heathen, they still had that same spirit. You know, this is why you have individuals that have Edomite moms and have Jake fathers, and they might look like their Edomite mother, but they do amazing, spectacular things, and people are like, damn, man, that white boy can sure do. No, he ain't white. He ain't white, man. He's an Israelite. He just happened to look like that. You know? Like, just imagine Blake Griffin's son, you know, playing basketball and doing amazing things, even better than Michael Jordan. And nobody knew that his father was Blake Griffin, and that Blake Griffin's father was that Levite, the dark-skinned Levite. There were things, man, that's a badass white boy right there, man. No, he's an Israelite that just happened to look like that. So just imagine if he got with a white woman, what his children are going to look like. But they're still Israelites. There's something on YouTube. There's a video where you have these white looking families that have Jake ancestors, you know, fathers. And they look like so-called white people. Most of them don't embrace it because, you know, Jake gets a hard way to go, but some of them still embrace it. To know I'm black. You know, but others of them that look like so-called white people, they don't want to, you know, associate with that, because they know, you know, that they don't want that slack that comes with it. Everybody want to be black, but nobody want to be black. Confuses the hell out of me. Inside joke. So that's what this means. The mighty men, which were men of old, men of renown. All right. When we look up this word renown, right? Let me close this out. Look up this word renown. This is where you get that word reputation from, which is shum. See, men of renown, shum, which is name, men of name. See, reputation, fame, glory. All right. And at one time we had a very good reputation, but we fell from that reputable state, you know, to where we at right now. So let's look up the word renown in the Common Dictionary, see what we can get, and then we can close out there. And if the Spirit allows, maybe I'll do another one. Renown, the condition of being known or talked about by many people. See, fame. And that's exactly what it is. And then we went from that status, right? We went from that status to this status. Let's go to Lamentations 2. And that was a part of it. We would get above the nations that we obeyed, but if not, we were going to be brought down. Matter of fact, let's end it with those two precepts. Right here, boom. There we go. So let's go to Lamentations 2. And 15, it says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is a day that we look for. We have found it. We have seen it. So pretty much we fell from our great state, from that great reputation. The Lord hath done that which he had devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down, see, the fallen ones, and hath not pitied. And he hath caused thine enemies to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. And what did we do? We fell very low, according to the curses. And no, we didn't have to take an oath in order for this to stick, even though there are scriptures that, but that's another topic. Deuteronomy 28:43, the stranger, which are the other nations that is within thee, shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So you shall fall from that reputation, from that fame. So that's what the book of Genesis 6 and 4 is talking about when it speaks about the giants or the Nephilims, the sons of God, which were the sons of Adam at that time, falling from their reputation. It's not talking about no angels falling from heaven. That bullshit. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.